Oh, we're live. Boom.
Hi.
Yeah. A little bit late. Wasn't my fault for once. So pretty proud about that. Pretty stoked.
Don't let Eric bullshit you. We know it's always him, no matter what.
No. You've got to give me this one time that it wasn't me. Come on.
So it was probably me. For whatever reason, Eric was calling, but my phone wasn't acknowledging. So, but email works too. So we're here. So what's up, everybody?
So, yeah, I don't know. There's been some news. Um, we do this every week consistently, pretty much now. So, like, I tend to forget like what's all happened since the last time we talked.
Well, so let's get the negative part out of the way. Let's just do that because there's only like one thing that was kind of a bummer thing that hit,
Yeah.
and that is that the day after we recorded, WonderCon Friday, last Friday, Warren Simons he resigned from Valiant, and that's a huge deal. I
Yeah.
always said that if you kept Warren and Fred Pierce, there'd really be no reason to worry about the books too much. I do kind of worry now about like what the direction is, just because Warren has been there for so long. But I mean, it is what it is. I don't know what his reasoning was. I don't know if he's looking for something different, if he just got sick of shit, if he was getting ready to be booted out as it was. No idea. We'll have no ideas about this stuff for so long that it's hard to know. But yeah, no more Warren Simons taking care of the editing at Valiant. What are your
Yeah,
thoughts
I'm
on
pretty
it?
bummed about it. He's been there for the entirety of the current Valiant universe, and to have him suddenly be gone is, I don't know. Yeah, it feels kind of like when Robert Venditti stopped having books published. Um, you know, Venditti was consistently putting out EXO for the first 4 years of the company, and then had Wrath of the Eternal Warrior coming out when EXO finished, and when Wrath wrapped up, man, I mean, that was the end of an era, and Warren has been there like that. He's been kind of the head honcho in the editing department for such a long time, overseeing the whole universe, and now we're entering an era where not only is Dinesh not there at the head of the company, Warren is no longer, at the head of that, editing portion of the creative process. So, yeah, I mean, it's really tough to think about what it's going to be like without him. But at the same time, it's not like there's a permanent vacuum or anything.
Yeah, I mean, to me, like it's a huge loss, because he seems to be like the guy that a lot of the creative side has liked. A lot of those guys have always talked about how they really like Warren and they're here as long as Warren's here. Guys like Nico and Luis LaRosa like are big fans of him, and it seems like Warren was able to bring in a lot of talent from Marvel from his days working there. So it'll be interesting to see like going forward what the books look like. I think because who's to say that a year from now we don't have a line of books without Lemire and Kent and LaRosa and Swain. I mean, who knows? I mean, it's just hard to think like what the output's going to look like. Um,
Well,
I mean,
even to that point as well, in the same way that, Warren leaving isn't going to just create a vacuum. He will be replaced or has been replaced. And so if those other creators leave, is it going to suck not having Jeff Lemire writing Bloodshot anymore? Definitely. Like, but that day we know is coming. It's not like he's going to write the character for the rest of eternity. We know there
oh
will
yeah,
come a day, regardless of any other type of turnover at the company, it was always predetermined that there would come a day when Jeff Lemire would no longer be writing Bloodshot. Maybe he'll work on another character, maybe he won't. There may be other things that pull him away. And whether it's like I said, whether it's the um, turnover in the editorial or with Dinesh or whatever, like I said, that day's coming anyway. So to me, I'll be bummed when it happens, but I'm not going to be like, oh no, this is the end of the company, right? Because, um, you know, there's always other members of the team that are also important. You know, if it was a one person job, if creating comics was literally one person from beginning to end and that person left, then yes, okay, absolutely, you can be worried. But when it's a team of dozens of people all working together to bring these stories and these characters to life, then I think one person leaving is less of an impact than panicked people might think that it is.
Yeah. So getting the negative part out of the way. Was it like I said? It was like the first thing announced on Friday at WonderCon. Prior to WonderCon was that Warren was stepping down, and I thought it was actually like a kind of a cool move by Adam Freeman. Adam Freeman had put a post up just saying like, he's like, me and Fred are here at the show for anybody who wants to talk about where the company's going. And to me that sounded like kind of like a reassuring gesture, like to get the chance to talk to someone there and maybe get some answers. I'm not sure what was said to anyone, but I mean, I do think that at least with Adam, and I've talked to Adam recently about this stuff, he is kind of like has a positive view about where things are still going. He was really nice to talk with at WonderCon a couple weeks ago. So I don't know what was said to anybody after that, but like I do feel like obviously we're still here to do this, like no matter what, until the books are done being published. But hopefully like that's still happening, and at least like from what I got, like with some of the other moves that we've heard, maybe it's not like the most dire thing in the world because Valiant did pick up another editor in Joe Illidge, and Joe Illidge has got a lot of experience editorial work. He comes from Lion Forge currently, where he was, well, that's where he was last at. But before that, he's worked at DC for a long time doing editing, and he's done a little bit of writing, but mostly back in like the '90s. But he seems like a guy very pumped up about the company. I don't know if you've seen anything of his, Eric, like either his Twitter or Facebook, but he seems like he's pretty excited about working at Valiant, and that's a great thing too.
No, I haven't seen. I don't do the Twitter. I'm not a Twitter guy. So I haven't seen anything on that. And I'd be interested to see what he's been saying actually. Now that you mention it, um, and we've also started seeing editorial notes from oh, now I'm gonna blank his name, Carl.
Carl Ballard.
Um, yeah, we've already started seeing editorial notes from him in the books. Um, and I don't know, man. This is any business. This is any company, and it's just not something that I don't know. People get so up in arms about it. I'm excited to see with Illage on board now. I'm excited to see where we go. Moose is telling me to get on Twitter, and you can screw off. I'm not gonna get on Twitter.
The thing
I've
is,
tried
though,
it multiple times. I've like seriously made an effort to be active on
the thing is though, is like if you're like a regular comic book fan and you change an editor, or even like your main publisher or whoever it is, someone at the company, anybody's replaceable. You wouldn't fret if you're like a Marvel DC fan. You know what I mean? Like you're like, oh shit, man, like Joe Quesada is not going to do anything anymore at Marvel, depending upon whether you're a fan or not. You're like, oh, that's too bad, or maybe you're happy. Same thing if like Dan Didio disappears off the face of the earth too for DC. Like half the people would be happy, half the people would be sad. I feel like Valiant fans are in a little more of a like different kind of situation because we are such a small fan base, and I would bet that 99% of it stands behind like every single person that works for the company. Like no matter who they are, you're just like, oh, no, there's probably not anyone who's like, get rid of Dinesh, get rid of Warren, get Hunter out. I mean, maybe there are, maybe there were people that felt like that, that were fans, but I feel like for the most part, if you interacted with those guys, you'd never be like, oh, get rid of them. They're just like screwing up everything. And we also have, unfortunately, a history of where the company changing hands and things going very south. And I think a lot of people still have that like premonition to it where they're like, oh, I just hope this isn't like Acclaim 2.0. And I know I've joked about it a few times, but like, I don't want that to happen. I mean, we like these books. I like these characters. I want to keep reading the stories of Exo Man of War and Bloodshot, and then whoever else is on the publishing schedule at that time. I want to keep seeing those characters happen. I want to keep seeing those books happen. So, I do feel. I mean, like it's in one hand, it was really shocking to see Warren go, but I felt good when I saw the news and I kind of saw how um, the person was responding in Joe Illich. I just felt like he was throwing some positive stuff out there. He was excited, and having talked to Mel and Carl, like they're way excited about stuff too. Adam's excited about stuff going forward. So all you can do, anybody can do, is just follow their gut on it. But I feel like there's gonna still be books coming out. I do. I mean, like, granted, there's things that haven't kept going, like the Summit, which it's kind of a bummer to not have 9 months worth of books to look forward to.
But the
But
thing is, man, as long as the books have quality to them, as long as we're not getting shit artists or stories that we don't care about, and even during Dinesh and Warren era Valiant, there were still books that certain people didn't care for. There was a huge negative reaction to Faith getting her own ongoing, right? Like there was a section of the fan base that was really upset about her not being her having a book on the stands. Um, you know,
well, a lot of that too is, I mean, let's not even go into that because then I'm gonna just start
no,
bitching and moaning at people.
no, and I don't want to get into like this part of the fan base sucks or anything like that. Valiant has a great fan base, and I think we've got a really good community. But yeah, I mean, if a book comes out, right, like say that they announce a new ongoing and it falls flat, right? I'm not going to look at that and be like, oh, all the naysayers were right. The company is over. It's the sky is falling. Everybody abandon ship now. No, that's not where I'm going to be at all.
Unless it's a Torque ongoing, then I mean,
Well, then that's definitely the end of the
then
world. And
shit's gone south. The mindset that's going on at DMG when Torque.
Torque gets his own book and we riot. No,
Yeah,
I don't know. Yeah, like I said, as long as the books are good, as long as I enjoy reading them, I'm going to continue being a fan. And even if there is a book on I didn't really enjoy the Eternal Warrior ongoing, the first one, right? I loved Wrath of the Eternal Warrior, but the first Eternal Warrior wasn't that great. There's a lot of people in the fan base that don't like Dead Drop. We were really harsh on that one arc of Matt Kint's Ninjak title, even though that whole run as a complete unit was amazing. That was a great, great run, but that arc sucked. Um, but
and
sorry.
there are moments, and I think that like I try to be honest about everything that I feel when it comes to that stuff too. Just because I don't want to ever be like every book is 5 stars, every artist is the best artist ever. Like it's not, but like we try to be honest. I mean that's why like I feel like a great example is like how we both felt about Bloodshot Salvation 7. Where like you enjoyed it and I didn't enjoy it, but like we got to be like good dudes about it and just be like, hey, sometimes one of us is not gonna like a book.
Yeah. And it's okay not to like a book sometimes, and
At
I
least
don't know. I know that we've gotten some flack for being overly positive. Yeah, but
what's funny is someone on Twitter like about like a week ago, maybe it's like the day after we recorded, was like, oh, there needs to be like a positive podcast for Valiant. I was just like, hey man, I think we're pretty positive here. Like we get bitched at all the time for being positive.
yeah, we're the
We're
overly
fucking
positive guys or
cheerleaders for the
whatever.
company
No,
from
but the honest truth is that we both just really enjoy the comics that this company puts out. And like you mentioned with Bloodshot Salvation 7, and there have been other times that you were wrong too. And
oh fuck you, man. Oh whatever. But
I
the
had to
thing
get
is
that.
though, the thing is about like that, is like I would hope that people look at what we do, and we're not ever saying that we're the best or anything like that, but Eric and I have done this thing for 79 episodes now, give or take a couple
78.
that Peter 8.
78.
But we've been doing this thing for like 2+ years, man, and we wouldn't do this if we weren't a big Valiant fans that just really believe in the product, and two, didn't enjoy what comes out every month. I mean, so I mean, to me, like people can take that shot at us and be like, "Oh, those guys are so positive," but hey, man, I'd rather be positive about what I'm doing or than bitch about it all the time and be unhappy because then I wouldn't stick with it. Then I
Yeah, I mean,
go,
I could make a
no,
we could make a podcast. We could do these videos and choose specifically stuff that we hate. Um, Nick came in the chat like, you guys start a podcast about a specific publisher and actually like that publisher? Yeah, we do. That's the thing. It's like I could start a podcast and only spend time talking about movies I hate, right? Like I've seen a lot of movies that I didn't enjoy because I like watching movies a lot, and you run through the good ones pretty quickly. And
oh yeah,
so I could make a whole podcast about movies I've seen that I didn't like. But why would I want to put that much time, energy, and effort into focusing on what I dislike when instead I could put my time, because if there comes a day when I don't enjoy Valiant anymore and I have the bug to continue podcasting, I'm just going to start a podcast about something else that I do like. That's
yeah,
it. I mean, it's
like
that simple.
yeah. When I first started like writing about comic books, I had a friend, a real life friend, doesn't live too far from me, and he was writing about comic books too. And his philosophy, which is mine too, was just that like I'd never want to spend my time writing about something if I don't have a positive spin to put on it most of the time, because part of like even being able to express yourself about comics should be about showing that passion, that fire within that like really drives you into like liking comics in the first place or the things that you like about this stuff. So I don't know. I don't want to ramble too much more about it, but like
Yeah. So big news, right?
I like having a positive. I like being positive about this stuff because I believe in it.
But
And
there
I
was
hope
big
that
news, right?
huh?
Big news. There was big
There was
news.
some big news, but man, I can't remember what it was. I
Oh,
think it
what
was.
was it?
Oh, you know what? I remember what it was.
That web
Obviously.
series.
Oh, that one. I was trying to be funnier about it. Fuck, dude.
No, no, you don't get to do it.
Yeah. So finally, the thing that a lot of people have been waiting for, including us, is that Ninjak versus the Valiant Universe finally has a fucking release date. April 21st on comicbook.com, I believe it is, right?
Yeah, and it's going to be one episode a day for 6 days. Um,
That's
and
awesome.
I hope it's actually like on YouTube and then they like, you know what I mean? Like I hope it's on YouTube and they just like host it and promote it on comicbook.com. Because if it's on YouTube, then people will make playlists of the whole thing and I can put it on my fucking TV and watch the whole thing in order after it's all out. And that will be
Uh,
amazing.
I know I have a TV that has the YouTube app, so I'm just like, oh, I can't wait to watch this thing, and maybe my kids watch it too. We'll see, because Dad has to watch that stuff. The thing I didn't even think about until today when I saw someone mention it is the possibility of like people outside the U.S. not being able to watch it
Oh,
because
that
of
would
like
blow.
how that stuff kind of works with like websites sometimes where it's like, oh, you're not like in the right region to watch it. So if you can't watch it, I don't know how many people even listen to us that aren't American. And I hope lots of you do because who cares, man? It's a round world. But um, get a VPN. If you can't watch it, get a VPN. VPNs are great to have anyway. Then you can just do whatever you want on the internet. But
Yeah, bro.
yeah. But I'm excited, man. Like I got to see a little bit of footage and it looked cool. And I watched it. And I mean the thing to me is that it might not look like as good as like a Marvel or DC movie, but it looks about as good as a CW show, and they're working with way less budget than those CW shows are. So I think like what like Aaron Shanke's been able to do with like what little money he's had to do this, it looks pretty good, and it's going to be pretty entertaining. So very excited. I still think that uh, at some point Valiant should put a Blu-ray set out where it's like the book, like the actual like Ninjak versus the Valiant Universe book that they've done, and then just have like a little thing in the back that just houses like the DVD or Blu-ray
That
with
would
a
be pretty
ton of
awesome.
extras. With a ton of extras. I want to see so much extra shit on this. Like I can't even believe it.
It's like an hour long show and you got like 12 hours of extras.
It's gonna be close to like an hour and a half though, because I think that they were saying that the episodes are gonna run around 15 minutes, close to 15 minutes, and there's gonna be 6 of them.
Yeah, I
So
did hear that it's going to be like feature length, so I think they're shooting for that like 90-minute total. Which so it'll essentially make it be, a Valiant movie, right? Like
yeah, And one thing that's actually really good about this is that I think a lot of us had that expectation that we were going to get an episode a week. Now we're going to get one a day. That's pretty awesome, you know. Like, I mean, you got to wait like 6 days to see the whole thing, and it's going to be awesome, man. This is going to be great to
I don't
finally get to
know
see this
about
thing.
you. I've already got this planned out. Obviously, going to watch the first video on the first day. Then I'm going to watch the first video and the second video on the second day, and then all three of them on the third day. And by the time the last one's out, I'm going to have all the previous ones memorized. But it's going to be awesome. I'm really stoked about it. I'm glad to see that Jason David Frank is posting about it again because he definitely went radio silent on Valiant stuff for quite a while. And then seeing the other you know more pictures that have come out, like we saw Bloodshot, EXO, Livewire, and Galat all standing together, getting some pictures of Shadow Man finally. Yeah, it's really exciting to see that this is finally coming. I think it would have been great if we would have gotten it however long ago, but shoulda, woulda, coulda, I guess.
You
At
know,
least we're getting it now.
I think the one disappointment to me about it is I just wish that somebody would have been like, I guess would have had like the authority to keep the fan base in the loop a little bit,
Yeah.
just because we saw that trailer that came out of New York Comic Con 2 years ago, and that's all we saw, and it was just like, oh, and even Dinesh, like back when he was still around, was like, oh, you guys just wait until like September, and then September hit and it was like nothing, and then New York Comic Con was like really awkward with some of the cast, and it's just like, man, I just wish that like there was a little bit of like, hey fans, like this is what's going on. I know you guys are bad mouthing us and bitching about us, left and right, but this is what's happened. Or there's some things that we can't get into too much, but it revolves around this. I just think there's ways to do it, and I don't think that like I think that Valiant has a good enough fan base that they would understand. I think that they appreciate it a lot more when like they get a little inkling of what goes on versus like just being like kind of shut out. But we're like a week and a half away. Like that's pretty good.
Yeah, it's coming up pretty quick.
Yeah.
Like not even a week and a half. Anyway, so I think that was most of the news that hit here.
Oh, there was one little one. I noticed this today, and I was actually pretty excited about this just because I did appreciate his work. But Joe Eisma, who had
Oh
done a lot
yes.
of Faith, he's coming back for Quantum and Woody, starting on issue 8, and I think that's great. I loved what he did with Faith. I thought his artwork looked really good with Valiant, and man, I mean, like it sounds like Quantum and Woody's still going strong. Because they're starting another jumping on point for issue 8.
Well, we're getting Elliot Rahal writing issues 6 and 7,
Yeah,
and the way that was presented left it in the air whether or not the book would actually continue after issue 7. So I was really worried about that. So the announcement that we're not only getting Joe Eisma on issue 8 forward, or probably an arc, I would assume, but just the fact that the book is going to continue and Elliot's going to continue writing it, that makes me really excited. A little bit of hometown Minnesota love, since he is from here in Minnesota, and well, at least he lives here and has for a few years. We'll claim him
yeah,
anyway.
that's cool.
But well, I was just gonna say I also really, really enjoyed Joe Eisma on Faith, and the image that I've seen of him doing Quantum and Woody looks like it's going to be cool. I love the characters. I think that the Asmus run was amazing. One of the few comics that actually makes me laugh out loud when I'm reading it, and I'm really excited to see where we go with Elliot Rahal at the helm, and now with Joe Eisma on the pages.
Yep, I feel the same way, and it's just good to see. Like, I mean, like I guess for me, like I just view it as more like good news, you know. And they're
Yeah,
still going to continue the foil covers. I've noticed up to at least issue 8, which I
it's
wonder
awesome.
if that maybe played into part why they stopped doing the pre-order editions with with the book going forward, is because they're doing like so many gimmick covers with it already that they're just like, you can have foil or you can have pre-order. I mean, it's okay. I like the pre-orders more, but those foil covers have been pretty cool.
So moving into books that just came out, Um, Spoiler alert, people, get ready. We are going to spoil the shit out of these books that we're about to talk about. But so I ended up picking up four covers of Bloodshot Salvation 8
I
today,
thought you were done
which
doing that.
I know, man, I'm not collecting every cover anymore, but apparently I'm collecting too many still.
How many did you get on the last issue?
Two, maybe three?
Are you getting any of the 1 in 50s?
No.
Man, I'll tell you what, man. Like, just this isn't much of a movement off of anything, but it seems like the 1 in 50s. Like, if you don't get them the month that they come out for like EXO or Ninjak or Bloodshot, you're paying some money. It isn't like it used to be like a year ago where like you could pick all that stuff up like later on eBay for like $10, man. Like those books are getting a little scarce. And I've been noticing
Yeah,
with the EXOs, especially like some of those EXO books, I cannot believe the money they go for, man. Like that's
I'm kind of
wild.
curious what some of those rare Valiants from the first Bloodshot run are running for, but anyway, we don't need to get into a bunch of what's worth and all that. But so like I
What
said,
are
I
we
ended
going
up
with
picking up,
first?
huh?
What book are we going with first this week?
Oh, I was gonna say Bloodshot Salvation. And that's why I was gonna just run through the covers that I got. Okay, with
I got this cover. It's really
yeah,
nice.
I got that cover as well. Um, so I've really like I was super skeptical. Nobody can see that, Josh, just so you know.
Hey, they can see this if I tell them to see this, okay? See this, people.
Yeah. Um, so I was a little bit skeptical on Renato Gaitis. Like the Ray Sremmurd book, there's so much potential in the way he was doing it, but I felt like it was really tough to see. So it was really dark, and he's totally changed that now. And I think that this cover that he did for this issue is a good example. I don't know how well you can see it. The lighting is just shit.
It's okay.
Um, but I really like how Bloodshot and Bloodhound look on this book, on this cover here. Um, and then the other one, I usually don't like scratchy covers, like scratchy art in general, but I felt like this book was really cool. This cover was just awesome. I don't know, man, there's just something badass about it. And then I think this is Bodenheim on these pre-order covers. And I thought that one was pretty fucking cool. Him like slicing a guy in half with a machine gun. So I don't know. Yeah, I picked up a bunch of Bloodshot covers basically. So this issue, um, the silent one or the blind one, was that really number 7
Yeah, I think what
or was
happened
that
was
number 6?
our digital cover or our digital copies that we got was like labeled issue 9 for this the current issue. It's actually issue 8. 7 was the black issue.
Was it really?
Yeah,
No, or was it?
it
God
was.
damn, it was 7. Um,
Because I was thrown off too when I read the digital copy first, and I was like, "Where the fuck is issue 8? Like, did I miss something? Like, I've been keeping track, and it seems like ours was misnumbered."
so I read this book, and while I've been liking Bloodshot Salvation, um, it just it's been kind of lacking for me a little bit. And this issue I feel like has really pushed it in a direction that I'm really happy with. I really enjoyed this. I think that getting the answers on what was going on with his daughter and why she seemed to be they kept saying like now and soon, and it seemed like soon had to be like 8 years later because she was so much grown up from being a baby, and now finding out why. I thought that that was a really cool way to explain that. I thought the way that it came out in the book was really cool. And then also in the vein of the crazy time changes in this book, finally figuring out how Bloodshot gets sent to 4002. I thought that was awesome. They've been saying since Bloodshot Salvation started that we would get that 4002 Bloodshot in this book, and now that we're finally getting there, I'm really excited about it. That character is super fucking cool. So yeah, I'm glad we're finally getting more of him. I feel like this book is really picking up, and I'm as much as I like this issue, I'm more excited about what's coming next.
Yeah, so I thought this was a great issue. Um, my first thing about it that I liked was that it had art, which was good. Secondly,
I fucking hate you,
uh,
dude.
I loved all the Shadow Man stuff in this,
Yeah.
and the fact that we got to see another glimpse of Baron Samedi, and he kind of is the one that basically dangles like Jesse's health in front of Bloodshot. Like he makes everything go good, but with a cost. One, Jesse's now like a little girl; she's not a baby anymore. Two, Shadow Man ends up in 4002, which is going to be cool. And like Eric had said, we've known about this forever, but damn, it just seems awesome. It's a great timeline. Um, I feel like the nanite bodied Bloodshot of that era just has so much untapped potential that this is going to be like a really cool story. And the one thing that's really neat about it to me is a few months ago, I think I made a comment about how I could see this book of Bloodshot when Lemire's run ends, kind of like tying back in with the beginning again, like almost like it does become like the kind of book that you'll need to read twice so that you can see like how to restart the whole story of Jesse, because we're getting to teen Jesse already, like to young little girl Jesse. So it makes me think that Rampage is going to attack soon. That's not going to happen, for a long time. It's going to happen pretty soon in the books. So I think it's like a really cool way that like Lemire has structured this book. Um, I hope that doesn't mean though that the book's going to end soon, like the series, because I don't know how much longer Lemire is going to work on it, and we're approaching like a year on the book. Are we going to get a Salvation 13? I don't know. Is Valiant going to want to relaunch Bloodshot when they get closer to their movie coming out? I mean, that makes sense. That's what everybody else does, and it does help generate sales having a new number one. So
Well, here's
I don't
here's
know.
what I'm gonna say, just to kind of cut in on you for that one. Um, I feel like the one thing like that we're not getting from Bloodshot Salvation right now is he's not a soldier. And like to me, like one of the things about Bloodshot is him being a soldier on missions and like, kind of having that mercenary feel. Um, Ever since the Valiant, basically for um the entirety of Lemire's run, we haven't been getting that from Bloodshot. And I think Reborn was done really well. I don't think that it's like a really bad thing, and Salvation has been good, but I just feel like if Lemire does walk away from the character soon here and we see a relaunch around the time that the movie's coming out, I would love if that does happen. I would still be really happy as long as it goes in more of that like soldier type direction because I feel like that's more what the movie's going to be about. So it makes sense to have a comic kind of in that vein.
And I'm okay at that too. Like to me, I felt like we got it in a glimpse in Reborn. Like I thought like Bloodshot Island was an awesome story, the culmination of everything that the book should be. Okay,
That was
he was kind
great.
of a soldier again. He had other soldiers with him that were just like him. Um, Everything prior to that was good, but like I mean, to me, like that was just a great storyline. And I do kind of agree though. I mean, like I reread actually the first two deluxe editions of Bloodshot all the time that VEI put out, where it was like Bloodshot banging heads with PRS and the little Gen Zero kids, and then hardcore. Like to me, it was like he had his own little corner of the universe that was his, and it was a lot more like soldier stuff and things like that. I do think that this stuff's a little more like thought provoking about like him as a character. Like I think like character growth wise, the Lemire stuff has just been really great. But I don't know. I mean, like I think the one thing that really lacks to me on this current run with Salvation is just that there's not a lot of action. That's really like I think the only like downside to me. If you think about like what's happened since the book launched, he's he's killed a bunch of rednecks. He's gone to the dead side. You know, and I mean like and to me, I feel like there's way more action on the opposite side of it with Jesse and the Bloodshot Squad. So I don't know. I think like that's just about how I feel with it. Where I just want more action because I mean like
I
the
can't
series has been
argue.
good. It's been good, but it hasn't been great.
Yeah. Yeah, for me,
But
I
I
would
would
say
say
this.
this was a great issue. I did like this issue a
Yes.
lot.
I was just gonna say this is one of the better issues of the run. Um, and yeah, I really want to see what comes next. Um, for this issue, I want to give it a really strong score, but I also want to kind of, keep it within reason because, it's not like this is a perfect book. It's not a five. Um, I did there was a lot about the art that I really liked. So I do think that I'm getting to appreciate Renato Gaius' art more. I do think that it's still well written. Um, but yeah, so where I'm at with this is probably a 3.75. Um, Not super high, but it is still a good book. And I would still recommend this read as a whole, like this run so far, Salvation. But like if I was trying to get somebody into Bloodshot, this is probably not the first thing I would point to.
Hmm. This is gonna be weird because I'm gonna go in just a tad higher than you on a Bloodshot book, which doesn't really happen very often.
Crazy.
Crazy. I'm actually gonna go 4. And for me, like I thought this was a great. For me, just my take on reading through the series, this was a great rebound issue from an issue that I didn't like prior. Um, Another thing I liked about this, and this is just because my shop for whatever reason didn't give me the pre-order edition, and I do get the pre-order editions through DCBS, but the way my hold is set up at my local shop for Valiant is get me all the pre-order editions. The A cover by Kenneth Rocafort, where it's Bloodshot, very well detailed cover. He's got baby Jesse like in like a baby Bjorn thing on his chest. I love the cover. It was a cool cover. It looked a lot to me like kind of like a more modern warfare take on like Lone Wolf and Cub, or even for some people who've been reading books like me, like last 10 years. If you remember the Cable series where he took Hope into the future, it looked like something like that too. But just like a really cool cover. I've liked the Rocafort covers a lot. He does a lot of good detail. Um, it was good. So a 4 for me. Good issue.
Right
And I'm
on.
curious
Right
to
on.
see one last thought on the issue because we didn't talk about this. Bloodshot has to kill someone in the future,
Yeah.
and
Who the fuck does he
Signature
have to
doesn't tell him
kill?
who it is. So I'm really curious to see who that ends up being.
And it's crazy that the Bloodshot title is the title that's finally bringing us back to the future. Back
Yeah,
to the future. Hopefully, we get Marty McFly.
there's a breaking and put a DeLorean in one panel. Come on,
That would be
come
great.
on.
So to move on to the other book that we have to review here, um,
Ninja K6
that's
pre-order edition cover.
that's a sweet cover. I just have this one right now. I think the pre-order is coming from DCBS.
So if I maybe a lot of us just didn't know this, but I thought that the pre-orders were done at issue 5.
Yeah, I'm not really sure. I don't
It seems like
know.
a lot of people were confused on that, and I know that I wasn't expecting to get one, and I was actually expecting to get that cover that you have, which is a really nice cover too. But I'm not sure who this person is who did the cover art, but it looks rad. Like
It
it's a
does
really
look
good.
pretty. Oh, you're talking about yours? Let me see yours again.
Here's my cover again for those watching. Maybe if anybody in the chat knows, let us know. It'd be great.
Yeah, whoever did that cover. I thought this cover was really cool too with the kind of monochrome red.
Yeah,
Um, but the issue. So this is the first issue of a new arc. So it's Juan Jose Reap's first issue of this new arc coming in as the artist. But he did actually do what was it, issue 3 or 4?
two
That
or
was
three. He did like the backup, didn't he? Or did he do
no, I
like
think
a?
he did all of issue 3, I think it was, when it was all about Ninja G.
Oh, that's right, he did.
And now this issue, he comes in as the artist for this arc, the Coalition, and uh, since they've been talking about this arc coming up, I've been really excited to see this, because we kind of got this group of villains, and Ninjak puts together a team to take them down. And I thought that the way that this first issue worked, the way that it was done, was such a perfect introduction to that kind of idea. And yeah, I absolutely loved this issue. The Juan Jose Reap's art with Jordi Belair on colors is that is a phenomenal combination. Um, and Christos Gage is just on fire with Ninjak right now. It's so good.
Yeah, this book just continues to baffle me, like in how good it is because we came off such a good run. We just had a great arc. Like we just had a like maybe like the best Ninjak story, in my opinion, the best Ninjak story we've ever had. We just had, and where we went from there was with a really great first issue of this new storyline. So, for those who are going to get spoiled on this a little bit, Ninja K, he's got a protege. He's got like Ninja K Part Two somewhere, and that dude goes rogue based on like the Jonin training him to like try to defeat Colin. And they go to like back to Mexico where like the armor hunters had already like wiped out the place, but to some base there, and there's just like this collection of like bad guys that like every step and turn, man, Colin King has to deal with like somebody, and he's dealing with them as he's running away. He's not even dealing with them as like he's like taking someone down and beat them. Like the things that I like about this was that it just kept presenting like a new challenge when he was already challenged. Like when there was always something in his face, something else kind of reared its head. And I think that the thing that's great about that is it makes it so that Ninjak doesn't just seem like some unstoppable badass who can't be beat by anyone. The entire time fighting the Jonin, he's like, I can't beat this guy. He's like, I don't think I could beat this guy fair, and he's using everything in his armor to try to get past him. And then from there, it's Coasty the Deathless, and then it's Ultimo. I mean, like it was just like really a really cool issue. It had a great structure to it, and all those people that show up to mess with Ninjak made you feel like they could do it, like they could present a threat. So the issue ends with him, contacting MI6, being like, break out the Rolodex. We got to get some help. I thought it was just a great issue, man. And obviously, like I like Reap. He's my favorite artist at Valiant. It was just a beautiful issue. The way he drew Coasty, I thought looked awesome. Uh, just a great issue. I'm gonna have a high score for it on this one. I've just continued. This continues to be my favorite book at Valiant.
Yeah, I think that that last arc was so phenomenally good. I'm so used to already the idea of Ninja K being the best book at Valiant. It's hard to believe that we're only 6 issues in, um, because it has so quickly solidified itself as the best thing that they're publishing right now. I mean, Girello and Reap are the artists that have done all the art for the main part of the story for this book. That's a great couple of artists. And then having Christos Gage just hit the ground running with such an amazing take on the character that is honoring what Kent has done with the character, but still, taking a different approach to him. And I think that that's exactly what the character needed. Not that I don't think that there are more stories that could be told in the way that Kent was approaching the character. I think that there are, but for a new creator to come on, a new writer to take a crack at the character, what we need is a new approach. We don't want to see somebody rehashing someone else's work. And I think that Christos has taken that perfect balance between honoring the work that came before and the history that the character already has, while also providing a new story that doesn't use the previous work as a crutch. And then, like I said, with such amazing art, knowing that in the coming issues we're getting Livewire, one of my favorite Valiant characters, teaming up with Ninjak. We're getting Dr. Mirage. I absolutely love Punk Mambo. She is a really funny, fun character. Yeah, I think that this is going to be. I think there's potential for this to be even better than the previous arc was, and that's saying something.
That's a good way to look at it. Um, God damn it! I feel like I had something I really wanted to say about this, and then I just went blank because I got so sucked into like by what you were saying. But yeah, as far as like score goes, oh, I know what I was gonna say. Okay, so hold off on my score for a moment. There's one more thing I really liked about this book, and it's that I feel like this story, this issue, and probably this whole entire arc, really makes you feel like there's a larger connected Valiant universe that Ninjak belongs to. Because I know that he pops up from time to time in other books, but now everybody's starting to pop up in his, and it's not just like Bloodshot, it's not just like Shadow Man or Exo. It's the smaller tier characters. It's Dr. Mirage. It's gonna be Ginger. Things like that. And Livewire. She should be everywhere. She's awesome. Fucking don't even care. I'll buy any book she's in. I mean, we both like the character so much, you know. But I just feel like this is starting to make me feel like everything is connected a lot more. There's more pieces on the board, and that's just great. I mean, I want to see some of these characters that we don't get to see very often. Dr. Mirage shouldn't just be a person in her own miniseries. She should show up here. What's Ginger been doing? Just floating around somewhere? Like, I'm glad that we're gonna get her too. So that was all I wanted to say about that. It was just
Well, it's another pitch for why we need a Unity series. Not to
yeah.
beat that dead horse forever, but anyway, my score for this, I know you were going to get to yours, but my score for this, I'm going to come in really strong at a 4.75. This is a near perfect book. This is so fun to read. I think one of the big strengths on that Bloodshot Salvation issue from this week was how excited it has me for the next issue. And I haven't been feeling as much of that from Bloodshot, so I'm happy to be there. While with Ninja K, since the first issue, every single issue has made me more excited for the next one. There's a reason that this is probably my second favorite title of any comic that I'm reading right now. It's the best one at Valiant, and I only think of one other comic, which is Kill or Be Killed,
Oh,
that I like as much as I'm enjoying this one. Because that
okay.
that book too, I've so thoroughly enjoyed, and that's the only thing I can think of coming out right now that is like that with Ninja K. Both of those books, every single panel, every page, every issue is a joy to read.
Yeah, I can believe that. I like Killer Be Killed a lot too, and I agree with you too on that. Like I've looked forward to every issue of this so much, and I mean ever since the first issue came out, I've just been like, man, I gotta wait a month to read another issue. It's been pretty hard. My score is the same as yours, 4.75. I feel like like always, a really strong issue by Reap. Jordi Belair does no wrong when she works with him. Gage's story is just superb. You know, um, I probably could have gone higher, to be honest with you, but I'm trying to be a little bit more realistic with it. I mean, it wasn't like an absolutely perfect issue, but damn, it's just like every issue of this has been pretty good. And let's bring on the coalition, issue 7. I can't wait.
Yeah, I'm so ready for the next one. Um, but yeah, I don't know a whole lot else beyond those books. We've been trying to do extra conversation beyond the Valiant stuff, but we had that big conversation last week and talked all about Shattered Grid, which we'll probably have to bring Nick back on whenever we get to the next
And that's
issue.
not a bad thing. I like doing those things. I don't know how people who listen to us feel about it, but like for me, I love it because we've done this for so long. It's nice to have things like that where we get to kind of change things up a little bit so that we're not just the exact same thing every single week. Um, and plus, like, I don't know. I actually, it's like I said last week, it's kind of shocking, but I really enjoy Power Rangers. So
I know, like that's such a weird thing to say, but I'm really looking forward to issue 26, and it legitimately, um, pretty much like every Power Rangers show ever is on Netflix right now, and I hovered over a couple of those shows, like, man, I'm enjoying the comic so much. Maybe I should pull the trigger and watch some Power Rangers. I didn't do it. I didn't do it. I am still an adult.
hey, I know that we're running a little short on time. What else did you pick up this week?
I grabbed Dead Hand, which was recommended to me by Frank.
Frank
I
Gogol,
think I think you're friends with him too. Um, and so I picked that one up, and
Kyle Higgins book, isn't it?
yes, it is a Kyle Higgins book, and he's also writing Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. So I've been enjoying him so much. I figured, yeah, I'll give his new creator-owned book a shot. And then I am planning to pick up the new Venom book that comes out. So I have
Ooh.
actually been grabbing, I grabbed the True Believers Venom book that they put out, which was like that Spider-Man issue where Eddie Brock becomes Venom. And then I am grabbing Venomized. And once Venomized is done, I'm just going to read the whole thing. Um, and I haven't really read Venom stuff before, so I do like the design and the concept of the character. So I'm interested to see how I feel when I actually start reading some Venom books. So I think that was
Yeah,
pretty much everything I picked up.
yeah. I plan on picking that up too. I believe it's Donny Cates writing it, and I like everything I've read from the guy.
Yeah,
Um,
Cullen Bunn is writing the Venomized book that I'm picking up, and then yeah, Donny Cates is writing Venom #1 when that starts.
yeah, like right now he took over for Lemire on Thanos, and it's been a really crazy story. It's been really cool. He does Baby Teeth, which is like about the Antichrist. It's an awesome book over at Aftershock. He does just a bunch of stuff, and I just find myself being like, damn, like I'm really entertained by these by the books this guy writes. So um, anything that he writes, I'm just like I'm gonna start picking up. Also, this week was issue 2 of Gideon Falls. I picked that up. I haven't read it yet.
It was?
It
I
was,
missed
man.
it.
You missed it. Way to fucking go, Eric. You're not even a real fan anymore. Jeez.
I know. It's like I don't even read Lemire.
Um, one shocking book I picked up was I picked up the first issue of Domino from Marvel.
Oh, was that good? I thought about
I
getting it.
was I was shocked at how much I liked it
Who's
because
writing
I've
it?
never. It's written by Gail Simone.
Oh,
Uh,
okay.
Gail, she wrote like Birds of Prey. She's written like Wonder Woman. She does a lot of DC work, but she did Deadpool, like 6 or 7 issues of Deadpool, like a long time ago for Marvel. Um, but it was a good issue. It wasn't great, but I liked it enough that I'm going to pick up the next issue to kind of see where it's going. And what kind of got me sucked into it a little bit, which is weird to say too, was it had a just like a nice cover by Greg Land, and I'm not a Greg Land fan, so that's kind of what's weird about it, you know. Like he probably like traced this thing over like some porn picture, you know. But well, that's what people will say about it. If you look at some of his art, like some of his interiors, you'd be like, damn, like he probably like traced that off of like some like weird like frozen image on Pornhub or something, you know. But but it's a
Jesus.
good issue. And for people who don't know, like Domino's ability is that she's got like a little bit of like luck. She's kind of like Long Shot of the X-Men, but she shoots guns. So I don't know, it's a cool book, man. Like I'm sure the reason they put a book out of her is because she's going to appear in Deadpool 2.
Yes.
But it was solid. And then issue 18 of Thanos, which I haven't gotten to either yet. And that was my week. I didn't really buy too much.
Yeah. Last week was pretty small, and this week wasn't too big a week either. But yeah, cool. Well, honestly, I feel like this week with these two books, honestly, like I feel like maybe I should have given Bloodshot Salvation a higher score, but at the same time, like I don't want to overinflate it. Um, but I do think that this is one of the best weeks as a whole from Valiant in quite a while. Like, a lot of times you'll get one really good book and the other book is kind of meh. Um,
Or you
and
get
so for
two books
both of
and
these,
then no books the next week.
right, right. Um, but for me, like both of these issues have me super excited about the future of their respective titles. So that makes me really, that's a positive week for me when everything I read from the company is putting me in a positive attitude towards the future. That's what I want. So pretty stoked about that.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Well, thanks everybody who's watching and will watch and will listen. Um, we definitely enjoy having everybody hang out with us. Thanks to David and Anthony been chatting with me in the live chat. I know Moose was in there and we had Nick in there for a little bit. One comment and then he bailed, I guess. But no, thanks everybody for Anthony. It's strange that Valiant would release two good books in the same week. No, I'm not saying that, but I am saying that these books both are great representatives and very strong showers of what their titles can be. Um, I don't know. Maybe I didn't phrase it very well. Either
Yeah.
way,
Well, one thing and one way to look at it too, like right now the line's small, but it's really strong, man. Like I mean, like there's some
it's true.
upheaval going on, obviously, but like it hasn't shown in the books yet. So everything's good right now, man.
Well, thanks again, everybody. We're gonna bail on you. Signing off. I'm Eric Baumgard,
I'm Josh Rathbun.
and I hope you all have a great week and stay valiant.
Bye, everybody.